Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and you're very welcome to this week's edition of Farm Business Options. Farm Business Options is brought to you weekly to give you ideas as farmers or landowners of things that you could do maybe to diversify your farm interests. Today's topic is about the whole area of social farming. And social farming has been described as the use of agricultural practice to improve mental and physical health, social skills or education for a wide range of people with a vulnerability. Today we've got three guests or panelists in this area. We've got Jennifer Payne, who's a dairy farmer from Tulsk in County Roscommon. We've got John Murphy, again a dairy farmer from near Watergrass Hill in County Cork. And we've got Helen Doherty from Social Farming Ireland, based in Leitrim. So as usual, the process is you can ask questions through the chat function at the bottom. So if you hover over the bottom of your screen, you'll see an area for chat, and you can put in any question to our panelists during this time. The presentations will be up on the Teagasc website afterwards on teagasc.ie/farm business options. So you will be able to access all the presentations afterwards, together with the whole webinar itself and the discussion. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a talk, first of all, from the three panelists. So Helen is going to go first, and that'll be a 7-minute presentation, followed by John and then by Jennifer. And then at the end, hopefully we'll have more time today for discussion and questions, to go through the questions that you yourself are putting to our panelists. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first panelist this morning. It's Helen Doherty. Helen is the Social Farming Network Programme Coordinator. Helen has worked for Leitrim Development Company in the area of social farming since 2012. She's involved in all aspects of the development of social farming, from training and developing farms to facilitating and supporting successful contracting arrangements with HSE and other organisations, and also establishing the processes, procedures and policies that are now integral to the social farming network. So Helen, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Barry. How are you?
Good morning, you're very welcome. How's things in Leitrim today? What's the weather like?
Not too bad, a little dull, but nice and dry, and it's a lovely morning.
I think
lovely spring morning.
We're all happy to have the dry weather at the moment, all right. So Helen, you're the National Coordinator for Social Farming Ireland, and you're going to give us a short presentation. So if you want to start sharing your screen there.
Sure.
You are the guru on this area, and all the questions that are asked generally about social farming always come your way. So I'm going to turn off my mic now and let you give your presentation, and I'll be back to you in a few minutes. Helen, thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully I can tell you in a relatively short space of time all the kind of key facts and information about social farming. Social farming is the practice of offering your family farm or the farm that you have available to you as a form of social support service. I suppose the farm is not a specialised treatment farm. We're quite pedantic about that. It doesn't become a special place or anything like that. This is about using ordinary farms, and they remain ordinary farms. It's a typical working farm where people in need of support can benefit from partaking in the ordinary activities in a non-clinical environment. So that's very important to us as well. The placement on the farm where the person comes out is an outcome-based placement in the natural setting of the farm, and it's based around the given participant goals. It also creates the opportunity for farmers to reconnect with their local community, to have an added valued role in their community, and open up their farms as part of the social support system of a community. So who can benefit from social farming? Well, there are many people who can benefit, and I suppose anybody who is in receipt of any health and social care support can benefit from social farming. These are some of the sectors that we have had people from on social farming placements to date. So we've had asylum seekers and refugees. We've had people, the two core areas probably that we deal with most commonly would be people recovering from mental ill health and people with intellectual, physical or sensory disabilities. We've also had people who are long-term unemployed, young people at risk, people with acquired brain injury who've experienced a significant life change. We've older people, people from dementia services, people from addiction services, homeless services, some people exiting the justice system, and many more. So Why would you get involved in social farming, and why would people want to come to your farm is a question that often is asked. So I suppose around that, I want to talk to you about the benefits of social farming and what it is that you can offer people. So there are 4 key areas that people benefit from getting involved in an ordinary farm. Their mental health benefits, social connection, physical health and well-being, and education and skills. So let's talk a little bit around mental health. So some of our participants have quoted things like, where could you spend a better day? Our participants very often say this is the first time they've been allowed to care for something, caring for animals, caring for the land, being involved, being valued. That increases their self-worth, self-esteem, their confidence. The farm can be a space of refuge and calm for a lot of people. For some people, it can build a sense of purpose, getting up in the morning, something to look forward to. It's a novel experience for many people. Some people have never been on a farm before, and we look at those pictures there, and there are 3 groups of people who were never on an Irish farm before. At the top corner, we have some Syrian refugees, and both of them were farmers back in their home country, and they had a shared experience on a farm in Mayo. We have a young man who was in the Garda Youth Diversion program, and he actually spoke at our conference subsequently, and his life was turned around by his experience with social farming. He managed to secure employment because he got a reference from the farmer. We also have another gentleman there who was in a homeless service, and his message to our social farming conference was that social farming should be included in every school curriculum in the country. And above all our participants have plenty of fun when they go out to the farms. It can often provide a sensory experience for lots of people. The sounds, the fresh air, the views, the smell, all of those things can be new, novel experiences for people, and certainly can evoke memories maybe of a very positive youth or a positive childhood for some older people as well. So skills and education, now we all know that farms are a great source of jobs. There's always something to be done on a farm. And we always emphasise that people get involved in meaningful activities on the farm. This isn't about tokenism, that's not about a farm visit. This is really about people getting involved in the ordinary activities. We often speak about there are must-dos on a farm every day, so animals must be fed, perhaps there's some cleaning to be done, and then there's the projects and the fun stuff that people get to do that really respond to maybe their interest in social farming. You can build somebody's capacity, their self-confidence, and enable them to do different things in their life. You can learn farm skills in an informal setting, growing, nature, biodiversity. And very often our farmers will have additional skills, and that can vary from being very good communicators and talking to having woodwork skills, carpentry, and many other skills. And the richness of our farming community is coming to the fore here. Social connection, many of our farms provide a good social connection for people, and they feel at home, and it's a great place to be. Very often they're brought off the farm, the social events, the lunches on the farm can be great social events. We have some pictures here and images of experiences people had on farms, playing football with the child on the farm, going to the local farmers market, going to the local hardware store or the ag store to pick up supplies for whatever project they may be involved in at the time. Working side by side with people builds good connections, good conversation. It's informal, open, sociable, and a homey atmosphere. Physical health and well-being. So obviously, being involved in farm activities is going to improve people's physical health and well-being. The exercise is not labelled as exercise. It improves fitness, agility, vitality, dexterity, even around fine skills that might be needed on a farm. So there's plenty of skill development that can happen that helps people's physical health and well-being as well. Also, learning about good food and nutrition on farms is a vital area that many people learn about. So that's all the reasons to do social farming. So who are we? A brief outline of who we are. where I work in Leitrim Development Company. We have a contract with the Department of Agriculture to develop social farming network across the country. We are partnering with 3 other local development companies, and we have 4 regional hubs altogether. I have a slide at the end that will tell you what hub potentially might belong to. We have a national office in Leitrim Development Company. We also have a hub in Leitrim Development Company, and we have 4 regional officers based in each of those 4 hubs. One in the southeast, the west, the southwest, and as I say, the Border Midlands. Our partners are Waterford Leader Partnership, West Limerick Resources, and Southwest Mayo Development Companies, all local development companies delivering various programs in the regions. So is there a typical farm? There's no typical farm. We have everything from one acre to several hundred acres and across all sectors. The activities range from horticulture only on some farms to mixed farms to beef farms, dairy farms, woodlands, equine, everything across the board. The focus really is on the qualities and the characteristics of the farmer, the farm family, and the community around the farm. That completes the offering. Our aim is to make social farming accessible for everybody right across the country. So moving on, social farming, what's involved? So one of the primary things that we always focus on is keeping it person-centred. So participants come to the farm, and the typical period of time can be what we call a social farming placement block. It can be anything from 8 to 20 weeks, but we also have people who have been going to the farm maybe for 2 years, and they might attend roughly about 40 weeks a year, and in some cases more than 2 years. But predominantly it is between the 8 and 20 weeks. How long does somebody spend on a farm every day? That varies again, keeping the participant at the heart and centre of what we're doing. It can be 4 or 5 hours. The number of participants, again, varies. Some people need one-to-one. Other people will come in groups of 2 or 3, and the socialisation around that is a huge benefit. We could have up to 4 people on the farm. If we've any more than 3, we would probably say there would be a support person on the farm as well with that group. The farmer works alongside the participants all of the time. It will be the person responsible for those people on the farm. There's always an induction day. You do get to meet the participant or participants, and they get to meet you, and it's only after that happens that people decide whether they want to go ahead. And social farming is very social. There's always time for tea and chat. So, as I said, we like to keep social farming very person-centred. What type of activities might happen on the farm? This grey box here is a list of typically what type of activities might happen on the farm, and it very much responds to what the person wants, to what their capacities are, their interests, their goals. The time of year obviously has an impact on what you have to offer on your farm, the type, the scale of your farm, the stage of the placement. A person's capacity grows. They might be on their second placement block with you. They might want to experience something different. Getting the balance right, as I say, between the everyday tasks and the more periodic tasks. And what is responding to the interests of the participant that's coming out to the farm is very important. So the farmer development process. So your first point of contact would be to get in touch with us. We go through a farmer expression of interest with you and an application form. We get the GDPR and all of that out of the way fairly quickly. The next steps then are probably things that will happen together. Our farm visit by a Social Farming Ireland regional officer, and training. Training is very important, and we really don't progress with training. What sort of characteristics do we look for in our farmers? So we want people who have empathy, who have time and patience. They provide dignity and respect to everybody. They have an interest in their community and in diversification. They're flexible, they're open, and they're person-centred. Training is essential. We have 9 sessions of training. There's roughly a 30-hour commitment in total for our training. The training was partially delivered online in 2020 due to COVID. It was the first time we had delivered any of our training online. There's also a handbook on our website. We have very extensive resources on our website, and I would advise you, if you're interested, to access those. The first step, as I say, is training. That involves an introduction to social farming, health and safety, a classroom-based health and safety piece, but we also do an on-farm mentoring piece around health and safety, where we have a mentor that goes to your farm to ensure that you're meeting the standard that's required. We do framework and values for practice, HSE safeguarding. We do awareness around disability, awareness around mental health. We do peer learning piece. Yes, you get to visit another social farm, and we do business planning. So in 2018 as well, I'd make you aware, between 2018 and 2020, we were involved in an Erasmus project, and there are quite a good number of resources available online, and we're continuing to enhance those online this year. So I would advise you to maybe check those out on soengage.eu, and it'll certainly give you an introduction to training, which is one of our first steps for anybody interested in becoming a social farm. And that's our contact details for all our regional officers, and that'll be available afterwards. And I think I'll finish on that note, Barry.
That's excellent. Thanks very much for that, Helen. A very good introduction to the whole concept of social farming. And just I'll ask you maybe at this stage maybe to stop sharing your screen, and leave your contact details there for a second. Because I want to ask you one question there. John, you can start sharing yours there now, please. Just one question there while John is sharing his screen with us there at the moment, Helen. Is this concept of social farming right across Europe? Is every country doing it? And is it supported through the European Commission as well?
It is supported through the European Commission to a certain extent, and that's the reason we're involved in the Erasmus projects, is to promote it across countries. It's very well established in the Netherlands. It's also well established in the UK, and a number of other countries, Spain, Italy, France. I suppose some of the more, the stronger European countries have it developed a lot further, but we've been involved with a number of countries, and we are looking to develop relationships with other countries so that we can learn all about social farming. But I would emphasise that I suppose we have a particular culture in Ireland that lends itself very well to social farming, and that is the focus of social farming development in Ireland, and that's our focus. We're not seeking to copy something. While we will learn from our neighbours in Europe, we're not seeking to copy something from there. We're really working with our great base of farmers that we have in Ireland.
Excellent. And folks, if there's any other questions that you have, there's a good few questions coming there at the moment. Just you can put them in the Q&A function there at the bottom. And just one other question I'm going to put to you there that's come in. Is there room or funding for more new social farms, Helen?
Absolutely. I suppose during 2020 we didn't activate really very many new social farms because of COVID. It was very limited, but we are, and certainly the demand is out there, and we're certainly experiencing demand from a lot of organisations at the moment. They're beginning to see the value of farms more than ever, and in particular I suppose counties like around the peri-urban areas like Dublin, Meath, Louth, Wicklow, very strong interest, and we don't have enough farms in those counties. We've quite a few in Kildare, which is great. Other counties as well, like Longford, Donegal, especially the mid-Donegal region, Finn Valley, Galway, Loughrea, Athenry, and close to the city we have significant demand again. Cork. Cork is such a huge county, but particularly probably around Mill Street, Kanturk, Macroom, those areas. But we're open to anybody who's interested in social farming from any part of the country.
Yeah, and as I said there, your details are going to be up on the Teagasc website afterwards, or people can contact Social Farming Ireland directly and see if there's a particular demand in their area. So thanks very much for that, Helen, for the moment, and we'll be back to you for the Q&A after a while. Our next speaker is John Murphy. Hello, John. How are you?
Hello, Barry. I'm fine, thanks.
You're from Watergrass Hill, John, in County Cork. John is a dairy farmer. He along with his wife Mina and their young family are developing a number of alternative enterprises on their farm. Social farming is one of those enterprises. They started social farming in 2018 and were the first social farm in Cork at that time. Since then, a diverse range of users and service users has come to work on their farm. So John, it's over to you. And how's things in Watergrass Hill today? Weather good?
Yeah, the weather is good. It's overcast but dry, and the cows are out, so all is good.
Yeah, and you have your morning milking out of the way, so you're free to go. Okay, John, exactly. Over to you. Thanks very much. I'm going to mute and turn off my camera, and I'll be back to you in a while.
Right. Thanks very much, Barry. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm just going to whiz through a few slides here, kind of describing my own farm and my own experience of being a social farmer so far. So I was abroad for many years, and I met my wife, and we came home in 2013 when my father was starting to look at retiring. And we came home to a small farm of 48 acres, 45 in grass, with 37 dairy cows. We're on spring calving system, intensive farming. And we had a limited scope for expansion, still do really in this area. Everyone's going for it, but we didn't. My father also had a small agri-contracting service, so I also took that over as well. But we agreed that we had 2 small children to raise and we needed more income, so we looked at alternative income streams. So the big one really that we started was our preschool, Kildinan Preschool. My wife is qualified and has been an experienced preschool teacher for many years. And so we set up on the farm. The kids do a lot of nature walks. They look after the animals. We have hens and we have rabbits, and they help look after the small calves in the springtime. And they have a vegetable garden, and we have a big emphasis on daily outdoor time and free play. And we used to encourage the parents to come and volunteer, especially on the nature walk. So we were getting used to having people on our farm. Just to mention another scheme that we got into is the Bride Project. It's kind of an innovative scheme here in the Bride Valley. 40 farmers have joined, and we're trying to get as much habitat back into our farms as possible. And at the moment, our farm's at about 9% habitat. And the pictures there are just some examples of what we've been doing. And the reason why I mentioned that is because the preparation of some of those habitats were tasks that we used with the participants who came social farming. So we've had other diversification ideas as well. One was an agri-tourism one, but unfortunately that's been put on hold at the moment due to the COVID situation. So the other main one we've been doing is social farming, which we've been doing since 2018. And so far we have had 6 participants from 3 different organizations come on our farm. The picture there on the left is a little article from the Avon, our local newspaper. So we had an open day on our farm with the participants, our first participants, and it was to kind of drum up interest and spread the word about social farming, and it was a great success, and I'll talk about more of that now in a minute. So getting started it takes a little while. As Helen had already said, there is a good bit of training. It is a little bit onerous. You have to travel. It does take time out of your day, but I also think it's a good weeding process for the people who are committed to social farming. And also it helps, I found it useful anyway, as a way of getting to know the legislation, what services require from farmers before they're happy to send people out. I also had a health and safety review, as every other social farm has, where we had a consultant come out from the Farm Relief Service, and he had a look around because the health and safety document that you needed for the Board B inspections isn't enough really. There are certainly different requirements required from the health and safety aspect when you have people with alternative needs, additional needs and what have you. Insurance was an issue in the beginning. My insurance company didn't understand what social farming was and didn't want to commit. I was with Zurich Insurance. I'd looked at FBD insurance. They did come back with an astronomical quote. Finally, when I threatened to leave, take my custom elsewhere, Zurich agreed to insure it, and it's been plain sailing ever since. It added about €400 to my policy. It's not too bad. So I had to have a look at my farm as well and see what I had to offer. So every farm is different. Some farms like to have the participants around the family table in the kitchen. Other farms have it in outside buildings, particularly maybe if they have a lot of people coming. We have it normally in our house, and people also use the toilet facilities within the house. This was before COVID, obviously. Since COVID, we did have to have a look at alternative arrangements. We did think about putting the eating inside in the polytunnel with the doors open for ventilation. In the end, it was agreed that the participants would eat in the van. And we also had to have a look around at our farm because there's plenty to do in the springtime on a dairy farm, but for the rest of the year, we had to think of other activities. And developing this vegetable garden was one of them, as well as the habitats on the farm. But like social farming, really, we joke with ourselves that there's only one thing or two things you really need to get social farming is a pot of tea and a power washer, because everyone loves power washing. So the benefits for the farmer themselves that I have found, I'm speaking from my own personal experience now, well, let's be honest, there is a financial benefit for social farming. But it's not the main reason why you would go social farming. But I also found that you get a lot of company and you get a good crack with the participants. Farming can be a lonely enterprise sometimes, and it's nice to have people around to work with you. And you can often do a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs get done that wouldn't normally done, a lot of tidying up. You can see there just the power washer, the trusty power washer is in full flow there. And also it has given me a different perspective on life. That's whatever you feel you're getting cranky or cross about the way things are going in your own farm and your own life, and then you see that other people plus their families have other issues to deal with. And my children have also seen that there are all kinds of people that make the world go around, and that everybody has their own unique characteristics and their own positives. And so I have found that very good for our lives. The benefits from, this is my own observations, the benefit for the service users is I feel that it gives service users that have come to my farm, it has given them a lot of confidence and a lot of self-worth. You can see the young lady there, she loved helping out, giving straw for the calves. When the calves are born first, we put them in these individual pens till they're strong enough to drink from a milk bucket and go into the larger group. And we used to have great crack with that. We'd put straw down, and I'd go away and I'd come back, and all I'd see is 2 feet sticking out the end of the little cubicle there, and a big smile on her face. She was waiting for me to come back to get a surprise. She was lying down happy out inside in the straw. I didn't realize at the time, she was a little bit nervous the first day, a little bit quiet, but she grew into herself. I didn't realize that she's also the same at home, but in the institution where she was going regularly, she was very quiet and on the periphery of group activities, whereas here she grew into herself. I also found that there was a physical and personal development I observed while they were there. The personal development was like the self-confidence, but also physical development in that service users can be used to being in facilities where there's flat surfaces everywhere. And when they come to my farm, they have to get used to uneven surfaces and steps and what have you. And while they were a little bit difficult to negotiate at the beginning, by the end, they were no problem to a lot of the people. They learned to use power tools, very much enjoyed working with the animals. And you can see in one of the pictures there, very much enjoyed talking with the animals. One other benefit is that it's real work in a real world environment. The activities are not planned or contrived in any way. It's real work, and you should never underestimate the satisfaction that's given to service users who put down a bed of straw and to see a calf happily lying down comfortable in that bed of straw, happy out, and it was the person who put the straw there is making the calf happy, and it makes them feel happy. And one other benefit I have seen is that it changes the perception of the people around the service users, perhaps their family and friends and what have you. People can get used to a certain routine, a certain way of life, how people operate. And then they come into an environment like a farm, and they're doing all kinds of activities. I know that one particular gentleman who young man who was coming to our farm, it gave his parents a great sense of delight and satisfaction that he was doing real work, and that he was not a hindrance to me and to the work, but he was actually a help. And that felt wonderful for them. Carrying on. So what are the challenges that I have found? Well, the initial startup is an issue. When I was abroad, I did try to do social farming. I had come across social farming and I thought it was a great idea and I wanted to do it myself. I couldn't do that because services didn't want to engage with an individual. So I was delighted to join Social Farming Ireland and have a local development officer who would approach on my behalf. And that was great to get social farming going. The other challenge is that it does take time out of your day. The people who come, they're not a labour unit. They're not there to work in the sense, in the traditional sense. They're there to do what they can do. And so you do have to take time. You do have to slow down sometimes. I know of other social farmers talk that the harvest is ready to go and they have social farming participants with them, and they just have to take it down a notch and just enjoy it and be in the moment. And then there can be issues with your own personal health and safety. I have had participants who are lovely people, very exuberant, and sometimes they can swing sticks and stuff, and you just have to be careful. So in conclusion, I would say to anybody that it's not for everyone, but you won't become a millionaire out of it, or at least I haven't yet, but there's an enormous sense of satisfaction from social farming, and there's a huge benefit to service users and to their families. So thank you very much, and I'll pass you back to Barry.
Thanks very much, John. That was excellent. If you can just stop sharing your screen there at the moment. I just have one question for you, just while Jennifer is getting set up there. Just in terms of the services that you're offering there, John, at the moment, would you intend to expand that out in the future to look at maybe other cohorts of people or groups to offer the service to in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I'm open to any group coming, really. I'll take anybody. I used to think that I didn't have enough activities on the farm, but actually I have realized that I do. That's people just enjoy being out on the farm, and yeah, I would take anybody.
And a question that came in there for you as well, John. Do you get referrals from GPs or medical services in the areas, or from local maybe mental health services to take clients?
I haven't had. No, I wouldn't say that. No, I haven't had referrals from GPs and what have you, but I have had 2 participants out from a mental health service because they had seen me at a presentation, the person who was working with them, and felt that it would be beneficial for them. So in that way, that's how I have had people.
Okay, John, we'll leave it there for the moment, and Jennifer is going to go on next. Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks, Barry.
That's good. Great to have you here today. So Jennifer Payne, Jennifer's from Tulsk in County Roscommon. She's actually only 10 miles away from me here where I am in Roscommon. She's farming with her husband Ed and her father-in-law Jimmy and their 2 mini farmers Ben and Aaron. Jennifer is also the owner of Sensory Me in Roscommon town. Their farm in Tulsk is called Hilltop Dairies, which is a grass based spring calving herd of 500 cows. They also have a few horses, alpacas, chickens, dogs, and Jennifer says you never know what else may appear. So Jennifer, great to have you here today, and I'm going to hand it over to you. I'll mute myself and turn off my video, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks, Barry. So I'm going to be quite quick. I'm just going to run through what we do here. So as Barry said, yeah, we're Hilltop Dairies. I'm Jennifer, and my husband Ed's there as well, and we have 2 little boys, Ben and Aaron. And it was really important for us that everyone be involved. We work really closely as a family, all together on the farm. Ed's father, Jimmy, is a huge part of the farm, and his mother, Dawn. We have 3 people working with us as well. We all work together, and it just had to fit in with us. So I found social farming in 2018, I think I remember. I was looking for things to do. I actually did the Teagasc options course myself quite a few years ago, and we'd be looking at lots and lots of different things to do. And I had done also animal assisted therapy. So I was just really keen to work with the animals and work with helping people and including people on our farm. We'd be really open. We love having schools and people visiting the farm. We do open days. We just think we love what we do, and we'd love to be able to share it with other people. So we felt that this might be something that we could do. I went and I did the training. I got loads of ideas of things we could do. I met loads of people from all different backgrounds, all different kinds of farms. I just think it's an amazing thing when so many people can be involved. I think the training is a huge part of an awareness as to whether you really, really do want to do this or not. And I think anybody who's listening to this, you obviously have some kind of interest, and I'd really encourage you to go and do a little bit more research into it and find out more. And if you still think you are, put yourself forward, talk to Helen or one of her team. They're really supportive. They will answer any questions, and start the training. You'll find out a lot about yourself, a lot about your farm, a lot about health and safety, all those kind of things, and you'll make some improvements as well. It's been great. As Barry mentioned, we have not just the cows, we have horses, alpacas, chickens, cat, dogs, occasionally maybe lambs, or who knows what else might appear. We're quite open to anything on here. And then just my background as well, I actually bought the Sensory Me in Roscommon town in 2019. It's been closed quite a lot this past year, obviously with COVID, but hopefully getting back into it. But that's my background. It's sensory rooms that are open to everybody. So just obviously my passion I've found lies there, and partly because of doing social farming, I moved on to that. Just about the actual farm, we are a spring calving grass-based system. We have over 500 cows on 2 farms. They're about 10 miles apart. We only do social farming on the farm here in Tulsk. We have the house and the farmyard separate, and it just works really well. As I say, all the family are involved, and we have 3 full-time staff, and at this time of year, as many other people as can be involved. We have a couple of students and a couple of part-time people as well at the minute. All hands on deck just now. So our experience of social farming, I suppose Helen mentioned there's some longer term participants, and we'd be involved in that. We've had 1 participant, but he's been coming pretty much since we started, and does blocks of 12-week placements with us. We have a break sometimes in between, and sometimes we go continuously. We've actually had the last year off. He lives in a house with 3 other people, and just obviously a bit worried about COVID, but we think now we have the systems in place and they seem happy enough, and he needs to get out and do something again now. So we're starting up this afternoon, actually. He's coming back this afternoon, so I'm absolutely excited about it. Can't wait. Everyone's been wondering where he is. The kids love it. The kids get involved. Really important for us that the kids are involved. The whole family can be involved. We'd love other people to come at the same time, but you just have to work this. Our participant is actually non-verbal, and he does have a care worker who comes with him and stays with him the whole time. So look, it's very social. We do everything together. Basically, he's coming on to be a part of the farm and work with us. Like Helen and John have said, we don't do specific activities for them, but we do maybe change the way and the pace that we do things ourselves. So I thought I'd have to slow down quite a lot, but as we've grown into the farm, actually we can get loads more done. I do my plan of what we're going to do for the day, and some days we won't make it all, and some days that lasts about an hour and we've got the rest of the day to do. So it just depends what kind of mood everybody's in, and maybe the day, if it's a nice day or not a nice day. So I suppose when he first started coming to the farm, like John had said as well, he wasn't able to walk on anything other than the flat concrete surface. So that was our first goal. So we set goals and we move on, and we try to reach these targets, maybe, if you like. So the first one was walking on grass, walking in mud, and we moved on from there. We were working just around the house at the time, and we were feeding the chickens and mucking out the stables, even lifting a wheelbarrow, moving a wheelbarrow, just the strength that it takes to do that. Absolutely flying it now. Hopefully we'll get back into it now this week. But and now, as you can see there, we go up and we bring the cows in and we milk the cows together. We've also hosted an open day, which was fantastic, to showcase what we do. Obviously, we're quite a big farm, but would be a very active farm. That'll suit some people and it won't suit other people. So there's someone for each farm, and they're very good at finding it. Our participant was on a different farm, and it didn't suit him, and he came here and it just suited. Sometimes you'll click and sometimes you won't, so never be despondent about that things will happen. We involve everybody in discussion groups, we go for walks on the farm, look, we just do the normal everyday jobs that occur, and we involve them, like I say, in the farm. So I suppose, look, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, then go ahead and ask. It's better you ask the questions than me sit here talk to you all the time. So
that's great. Thanks a million for that, Jennifer. Excellent presentation. 3 great presentations there, folks, and lots of questions coming in as well. If any of you have any more questions that you want to ask, you can put them to our panelists there on the Q&A function there at the bottom. So if John can join us here again, Helen is back also. So loads of questions. Just one for you there, Jennifer, and it kind of relates to one that came in for Helen as well. The biggest challenges you face in running a social farm, and maybe I'll put that question to Helen afterwards as well.
Yeah, so I suppose the challenge for me, finding the right participants maybe is one, making the farm safe, rethinking, I think John said it earlier as well, just to rethink how everything is set up. It doesn't always involve money. It could just be tidying up, moving something somewhere else, making things a little bit clearer as to what's where, and making it fit around our farm and our family. Finding the right time, the right day. We'd be quite busy. I have another job now. Timing wise, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I was wondering how you manage the whole labour aspect, because you're quite busy with the cows and Sinstream Me and all of that. So it is, I think labour is a big issue, isn't it, in terms of trying to juggle all of that?
Yeah, so on our farm, I take the social farming lead. Like I say, everybody is involved, but it's my job to be there with our participants all day or all the time they're here, and then everybody else gets involved. But like I think Helen said as well, that somebody has to be kind of the responsible person, whether no matter how big or small your farm is or what you're doing, there has to be someone who is the person, like John will be, involved in that kind of a thing.
Okay, and that question to come in for you as well, Helen. Like, what's your biggest challenge in running the service? I presume funding is one, but what are the others? Just wondering if the public or volunteers can support in any way further.
Yeah, I suppose awareness raising is always essential, and I suppose there are traditional options for people, say, particularly in the disability service. You know, they access particular organisations that are in their area. This is a new way of looking at support, so that's a challenge, is educating people around that. Now we've started to work with the Leaving Cert Applied programme, for example, and it's proven very successful, where you have young people coming out of school and the next steps in their life are very important for them. So opening up the option of social farming starts to introduce the idea that they can actually choose what they want to do, and what supports they receive and how they receive them. So that's a very challenging area for us, and accessing the funding for that is very challenging, but it is coming through individualised budgets, for example. It's structured a little differently in mental health services. So a lot of the challenges are around funding, but in from some other sectors, the funding is relatively easily there, and particularly we find around the youth sector, where you're dealing with people at risk and addiction services and some services like that. You know, funding is less of an issue. So managing the risks as well is obviously a challenge for us. So that's a constant communication all of the time with the regional officer, and that's why we have the support structure of the regional officers in place, rather than leaving the farmers to do all that on their own. Like, for example, when COVID happened in 2020, we had to look at all our farms again, and we closed down for a period of time. And in order to get up and running again, we had to introduce a whole COVID protocol for every farmer. So we were there to support that activity and to work through that with all of the farmers, and we're continuing to do that, and all of them haven't opened yet. So.
And Helen, the question I asked earlier on there to John, like, do you get situations where clients are referred to social farm services, maybe by healthcare professionals such as GPs or social care professionals or community mental health teams?
Community mental health teams, yes. We haven't had GP referrals as such yet, and I suppose that would be a social referral. But we've had referrals from parents, for example, and parents have actually paid for placements on farms as well. So that's a different model as well, and that's something that parents are choosing to do. The GP route probably would be towards the green prescription and social prescribing, that type of thing, which isn't, there's a couple of pilot areas for that. I think Waterford and Donegal have been two of the pilots in Ireland for social prescribing. So it's not very well established here yet as a pathway to social farming. It would be more traditionally through mental health services, and that would be through the community mental health teams. So we look at each farm that comes to us and we work with them based on their local knowledge around what's available in their area, and we try to identify possible participants for them.
And that means there's possibly an open there for the likes of the GPs to be aware of the benefits of social farming and what it can offer, and maybe that message needs to get out there. A question that came in there for John, and maybe I'll put the same one to Jennifer as well. How many people does John accommodate at one time? And maybe you could answer the same, Jennifer, afterwards.
It really depends on the participants and what kind of participants they are. Like, I would say 3 would be maximum, but then I have had participants that are very lively, very intense, and they require all your individual focus. So it really depends.
And would you take a busload of people in, John, or is just 3 would be the max?
For me personally, 3 would be enough for 4 hours working on a farm, keeping everyone safe. It's enough.
Okay. And Jennifer?
Yeah, so at the minute I only take 1 participant. I think for him it'd be great if we could have 1 or 2 more. I think, like John says, you need to think of the safety aspects of things, and I know sort of financially maybe people could see it as, if you took a busload of people, well, we'd have a great day and we could be better off financially, but you would need more people around you to keep everyone safe, to keep an eye on everybody, but also the amount of work. I'm not sure there is enough for a busload of people. I know everyone's very busy, but yeah, look, we'd love to have 1 or 2 more, but I think being realistic, 2 or 3 maybe is enough at any one time.
And like, are schools involved in this as well? I'm thinking of busloads of people, that maybe school children coming out to your farm to get the experience of what a working farm looks like. That doesn't happen on your farm, Jennifer.
We do that separately. We don't do it through social farming, and we're very open with our farm. And we do have, well, previously we did it on Zoom actually this year. We had the school come to the farm, but that wouldn't be through social farming. That's just you know.
Another question came in there. Thank you, and lots of compliments for all the speakers here this morning as well. Thank you. Where would you find out about the payment and what the payments would be? It would be important to ensure the payment helps towards the additional expense such as insurance and perhaps any prep required to the farm to be able to host. I know this is an open question, but I imagine it would be imperative to be able to set up properly to carry out social farming so that people are safe on site. So maybe I'll put that one to Helen.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a payment for farmers, and it does vary from one place to another, and it depends on how many participants and what funding is available to the service and what the farmer is willing to accept. So I suppose we're not, setting a fixed price for social farming, and we discussed that at our training as well. We certainly absolutely believe that the value of the time that the farmer is giving and the resources of the farm that the farm is offering to people, they're of very high value to people, and I think our farmers need to be rewarded for the time that they devote to social farming. We certainly don't view it as a voluntary opportunity or something that you should be volunteering for. You know, we all volunteer for things, and you do it for a certain period of time, and you always have, I suppose, restrictions around that. You know, and it's not something that you're going to do ongoing. We believe that the farmer's time needs to be valued. So absolutely. Okay. And our aim is that in the first year that we work very intensely with the farmers to try and ensure that at least they get their costs covered. As John said, the insurance costs on average anywhere between €200-400 additional each year. But that very much depends on your farm as well. You may already have quite a high level of public liability in place, and you may already have employer's liability, for example, in place. So you may have no additional cost for your insurance. So, you know, it varies from one farm to another.
Just a question there for Jennifer. John, you mentioned your insurance increased by €400 by taking on the social farming enterprise. Did it affect your insurance, Jennifer, at all?
It did. It went up a very small bit, but we already employ quite a few people, and as a bigger farmer and public liability, we just increased the public liability by a little bit, but it wasn't as much. I can't actually remember how much. It wasn't as much as that, but we already paid enough in insurance as it is.
That's okay. Loads of comments of as I say, complimentary comments coming in there. One there, well done, Helen. Just a comment, employability. Cavan, Monaghan have engaged with social farms in the region for a number of years now. We found it really beneficial. It's been a great stepping stone to employment for many of our clients. A comment for Helen there again, it's a fantastic service and so beneficial to participants. A student of mine with an acquired brain injury did green cert placement on a social farm, and it's where he is most at his calm. How does the farmer benefit is another question. Is it the case that the farmer are assisted with our farm jobs, or is there a financial incentive? Maybe
there's both. Sorry, I jumped in there.
Yeah.
There's absolutely both. And again, it very much depends on the participant and what they want to achieve from it. But I think both of our speakers have said that they, some days you get lots of work done, and sometimes it triggers you to do things on the farm that you put on the long finger, and you say, oh, I'll do that someday and I'm too busy doing other things, but actually the day that your participants come is often the day you set aside to do the things maybe that you enjoy most as well. So certainly beneficial from that point of view. Yeah, I'd emphasize it's not a work placement, and it's not about the work, but certainly work can be an outcome of it.
Okay, just one question there for John. John, what do you need to start a social farm? Is it land, or is it some sort of shelter or toilet facilities? Could you just kind of give us an outline of what your recommendation?
No, you don't need a lot of land. Helen mentioned there earlier, like some of the farmers have maybe an acre, even half an acre. They might have a horticultural setting. So you don't need a lot of land to be a social farmer. What you need is activities. You need to have a particular type of personality, and you do need to have a place where you can sit down for the participants to have a rest, to eat, and you need toilet facilities. But after that, it's sky's the limit.
And like social farm probably won't, a couple of you have said this, that it probably won't suit every farm or farming business, but are social farms more suited to commercial farms or small holdings?
I think it's less about the actual farm as it is about the farmer. I think it's whether the farmer is suited to social farming. I think after that, then any farm will do. Obviously, if you have quarter of an acre, having 3 or 4 people might not fit. But same as that, a big commercial, more commercial type farm, maybe too many people might not work either. But I think what it has to come down to firstly is the type of person you are, why you want to do it, and what you think you'll get out of it. For me, it's not as a financial, like try to cover my costs and maybe make a little bit, but I don't do that most places. So it's more about the benefit I get from helping somebody else. That's why I'm here.
And Jennifer, what do clients get involved in on your farm? Do they get involved in milking cows, cleaning out sheds, fencing, or does it depend on the client?
Yeah, we'll do everything. It depends. Like I say, make a bit of a plan for the day, but as with all plans, it could be scrapped in the first 2 minutes if the mood isn't right, or if actually we're feeling really lively and we want to do something else, or the weather changes. As with all my plans, everything changes. But yeah, look, we started off just trying to walk across the grass. We then started bringing in cows. We milk the cows, we feed the calves, we mock out stables, feed chickens, get the eggs, and then they can take eggs back with them or make something with the eggs. It's nice to see what we try to do is achieve something every day, whether it's big or small.
The more I'm listening to all of you, the more I'm thinking that the services that social farming is providing and the services that both of our host farmers that are here today with us, you're really providing a great service in terms of reducing the strain on statutory services and the HSE. Would you agree with that, Helen?
Absolutely, it's a fantastic offering, and we're not looking to build something new. We're not looking to kind of set up another centre somewhere else. There's no big capital build here. We're looking to use the rural assets that are there already, and those rural assets are these fantastic farms. They're generally beautiful places, so they are, and also the farmers. They're two significant assets that are there in rural Ireland. And I suppose the whole concept started in Ireland with a number of people from UCD. And it really was around using kind of latent capacity that was there in agriculture in Ireland. It came out of Department of Agriculture and UCD. So, there is capacity on a huge number of farms in Ireland to accommodate this type of option for people. So the more we can build it and grow it going forward, the better.
Yeah, and I'm guessing as well that family members are getting a break, to get to meet others maybe in a situation like themselves and maybe to socialise.
Absolutely, and all of our farmers would say that it's actually a day in the week that's full of life for the farm. And very often, lots of farmers will say that neighbours will drop by on the day that they have participants because they want to see what's going on. There's a bit of fun, there's a bit of joviality going on. There's, it's making that human connection that I suppose we're all missing so much these days. And it's never more valued.
And Helen, obviously the individual comes first and the activities have to be tailored around the individual. But can you comment maybe on any research that's out there that maybe has been done, maybe not just in Ireland, maybe to identify the physical, maybe the mental health benefits of being outside in nature?
Absolutely. Well, we actually have a researcher working on our project, Dr. Aisling Moroney, and she's been working alongside our network development, gathering the evidence of what's been happening across Ireland in social farming. And she's also corroborating some of her findings with European and UK experts in social farming as well. But our focus is very much on what we're offering here in Ireland, and she's capturing all of that. As I say, we have produced, I think, 6 or 7 reports, kind of almost lost count at this stage, but around what the benefits for participants are, and all of those reports are available on our website. Again, they make very easy reading. They include testimonials from farmers, from participants from various sectors and how they benefited from social farming. So there's a wide range of reports there, from working with disability services, mental health services, Leaving Certified programme. We worked extensively with the Healthy Ireland programme, and it funded quite a number of placements. So I suppose that's the other thing that we do as well. We try to source funding, and we help organisations that provide support to people to identify sources of funding for social farming as well. So I suppose we're working not just with the farmers, we're working with the support services as well.
Well, the compliments are flying for all of you here this morning, and I just won't have time to read them all out. So it's absolutely fantastic the work that you're doing, and we are nearly out of time. But just maybe one question, I suppose with all businesses, promotion and marketing are very important aspects of generating customer demand. And, if, for example, you're trying to target long-term residential care users, would you go out there by maybe contacting the local care homes, or would you send leaflets or advertising your services? Does that make sense, or is that done within this business, or is that maybe something that should be considered?
That's absolutely done, and we present on a regular basis, like we're presenting to you here today. We would do the same, and only last Friday we presented to a group from Disability Services in Kildare, West Wicklow, for example. We have a number of agreements in place, and service level agreements with a number of organisations, and that has come around as a result of us working and presenting to those organisations, letting them know. We have a sampling fund where they can try it out for a period of time, and then we like to progress and move forward to a fully commissioned placements for our farmers. So that's all of the work, I suppose, that we do in the background, and we kind of try to put our farmers out in front and the participants in front, because they're the people who are making it happen.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to really rush this now. I know that you've mentioned already that there's training courses available. That question has come in, and you can contact Social Farm in Ireland to find out about those training courses. One last question to maybe John and Jennifer. What type of skills would be valuable to teach either young people, or is there any sector that you would be aware of that could maybe benefit from different angles of expertise? Maybe John,
I think, if I understand the question correctly, I think young people perhaps young people who are known to the Gardaí, I think they would definitely benefit from coming out to the farm and seeing it, participating in life in a different environment. I think it would be very beneficial.
And just one for Jennifer there, that I can see that you can target different market segments by having the right and appropriate facilities in place. Do you plan to expand your current service or see new opportunities for social farming? And where would you like to go and explore?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to see more people coming in. I am busily juggling 2 businesses at the minute, but I make time to make sure I have time for social farming. I would love to see like that younger people coming into the farm and potentially finding their career in farming. We're always saying how we've got a lack of people coming into farming again. I think the more people we can get on farm, the more opportunity we have there to employ. I know somebody was asking a question about the employability as well and things like that. Just I think there's a huge opportunity there.
Okay, folks, there we really have to leave it. Great interest in today's webinar, great participation and the great questions coming in as well. I want to thank the 3 panelists today: Helen Doherty from Social Farm in Ireland, Jennifer Payne, dairy farmer from Tulsk and Roscommon, John Murphy, dairy farmer and social farmer host from Waterhouse Hill in Cork. Thank you all. Excellent presentations, excellent questions. And next week, my colleague Rosalind Fay will be here talking about diversification opportunities in the Cavan region. From me, Barry Caslin, goodbye and talk to you very, very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.